Oh shit, here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Andrew Esquire. Welcome to Legal Mindset, where we teach you to be your own judge. It is good to be back. Thank you guys for all being here for me today. Early mindset. I wanted to, I was ready, so just wanted to get this one done and get it out there. I was waiting to do this one. Now, I did not have as much time to go deep on all of the issues. There's some of them that I think need a little bit more research, particularly as it relates to moderation. But I wanted to stick this all together and come here for you guys today. But of course, it's glad to be back and good to see everybody in the chat today. I appreciate and I love all of you guys. But yes, this hat, this is a Moodang hat. Someone asked about Moodang's hat. This is a Thailand hat on Moodang today. So nice Thailand hat on Moodang today. Very stylish Moodang. And anybody who calls Moodang a lizard is getting banned immediately. But anyways, I am doing very good. And I just want to say, address maybe the elephant in the room. I definitely needed a streaming break. My stress levels and everything I was dealing with was overwhelming. I also had a chance to go to the doctor, actually 2 doctors, and have myself checked out. And turns out I've got some stuff that I need to deal with, but I'm dealing with that, and very, very helpful instructions and very, very helpful things from my doctor. So doing very good right now. Great to be back here. And honestly, I'm very excited for a lot of the topics that we're going to cover. And some of the things we're going to cover in the future are going to be ultra, super giga-based. And let me just find that one real quick. Where is it? Here we go.
Not as in, I cannot absolve you. Mega based.
Yes, super based. So I'm really excited to get into it, and I'm going to get into some more controversial topics. I've been, debating it, thinking about it, and it's too short to just be boring and simple all the time. So we're going to have some controversial takes. We're going to get into some other stuff, but everything is all good for me right now. Yeah, and of course, like people say, take care of yourself. Yeah, no, thank you. And I also want to give a special shout out to a lot of people who reached out to me, a lot of different streamers, big one to Tectone, who reached out to me personally, gave me his number, and all those that reached out. Thank you. I'm doing fine, and people wishing me fine and praying for me, I think is the biggest thing that really helps out. But honestly, and I'm going to get into this with Hassan, I think everybody needs to take that streaming break at a certain point, because especially when you're putting pressure on yourself to go and do something and create that content every single day, keep updated in the news and keep on everything, it creates a lot of pressure. And when you combine that with other things that are going on, it's not always very good. But anyways, like the stream, like this. If you like the Evangelion themed, yes, that is an end of Ava. If you don't know Neon Genesis Evangelion, that's an Ava reference there. You, of course, have got Imaru, you've got Dan Clancy, you've got Hassan. Feel free to enjoy that one, save that one. It's a great one. Not My Clowns gifted 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you very much. Yes. The GOAT said, can Dan Clancy plead insanity?
But go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
Appreciate that. Mr. Zailbar says for 10, glad you're getting your health taken care of. Still healthy, my friend. Yeah, that's, if I will say one of my weaknesses is the fact that I will neglect my health for the sake of everything else. It's like the last thing I think about, which oftentimes is a problem. But appreciate that. Greetings to everyone, especially to Moodang. Moodang's doing very good today. She's hanging out. She's doing good. She's doing very good. All right. So let's get into it today. with the PP. We're going to whip out my PP right away for you guys, and then we're going to get into some of the videos, stuff like that. Obviously, there's going to be a fast facts version of this, but I want to give you guys an overview why this is the quote-unquote death of Twitch. Now, do I think the death of Twitch is tomorrow? No. And that with the internet, a lot of people are very quick to want Twitch to go away tomorrow, things to be fixed tomorrow. Now, I'm in between. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but I'm not the nothing ever happens. There is a certain point at which stuff does happen and action has to be taken. And I think Amaru's incident where she was assaulted is definitely you have to do something about this, right? So that is a point that we definitely will bring up. So there's really 4 quick areas that I'm going to go over, not quick or not so quick. First, the Amaru assault due to failure and lack of security at TwitchCon, and she was denied her own bodyguard. Then we're going to talk about the meetup mistakes with Chibidoki. That was something that several of you that are VTuber fans brought up. Then the pressure on Hassan, and this did not happen. This did not happen with just TwitchCon. I think Hassan as the golden boy of Twitch, right? That is a problem for them, because if Hassan was to have any problems, it would just be a massive issue. Then you also have the lack of moderation of Twitch content. This is one that I think puts them in the Roblox category, whereby if they're allowing vile information and vile content on the platform, that is not going to go well for them. So let's go ahead and go over to the Amaru claims. Okay, so actually, before I get into those claims, let's watch some of the video, because I've got some of the video queued up. Some of you may have not seen that video, so it's very important to actually see that. Oh, by the way, whoever made this fan art, which was made for me, very based. I want to see this is very based. I will neither confirm nor deny that this is going to be me in like 4 weeks or 5 weeks when I take a nice beach vacation perhaps with Mudang. This is a good one. So whoever made this, this is a very good one. Thank you for the fan art. Appreciate good fan art. This is very based. And I do own a good selection. I would say a good selection of Hawaiian shirts. Okay. So the first video let me see this. This video does not want to stop playing. Okay. So this one is the first one I want to show, which is where Emery was required to do the meet and greet in order to keep her TwitchCon show. So let's play this one.
I can't cancel my meet and greet and not cancel her show because of the fact that the reason I cancel my meet and greet is I don't want to be in the same place for 2 hours because of people being weird.
Okay.
And then I'm under contract with them, so I can't cancel one and not cancel the other.
Interesting. Oh.
So I'm sorry.
I kept my meet and greet because I wanted to keep my show. Surely it'll be fine.
So, and you can see she's being awkward, like it's kind of an awkward situation. But once again, these are the types of things which, when we're going to get into the claims, bring up breach of contract, right? So, okay, if you're required to do this was a requirement where there's safety provisions, right? Expectations. There's also going to be negligent security, general negligence, IAD. But that's a major, major, major factor. And of course, for those that haven't seen it, this is the video and this is the thing that happens. So let's just play the video of the actual here so you guys can see that. Once again, it's not necessarily something that's gory, but of course for those that are sensitive to this, just be warned, this is an unauthorized touching, which is or battery. So once again, let's play that one more time. So dude just wanders up out of nowhere, just creeps up and fondles her up like that. Twitch security, you see they're not even close at that point. They're not even close. They're nowhere in frame. And then they have to run up and push the guy out of the way, right? But at that point, so much could have already happened, right? So much could have already happened. And the blue hair guy, he's just standing there dumbfounded, right? Doing nothing. Now, this guy, from what I understand, was not detained. He was just allowed to kind of walk out. You're saying that's our security? Okay. But the point of the matter is they were allowed to walk out, right? Okay, so that's our security. Okay. So some of those facts, once again, if I get a fact wrong, thank you guys. Thank you, chat. Chat's great. And thank you to my mod, Danielle, who does an amazing job. Appreciate you, Danielle. But if they once again, are failing to protect her adequately or provide enough protection. Once again, law enforcement should be there, a significant amount of law enforcement. There are standards for events in terms of how much law enforcement is there. And beyond that, they have a liability to protect them as an organizer, right? As an organizer. Okay, let me put it here. Spider Bro says, what's up, BLM? Cute dinosaur behind you? Yes, very cute. Not dinosaur. Pygmy hippopotamus. Butterface Personal for 10 says, the way that Twitch handled the Amaru situation should be a wake-up call to anyone who thinks they can be trusted to handle anything when it comes to protecting people's safety. Keep it up. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Well, this is why I say you kind of have to take your safety in your own hands, right? So you need to actually take steps to protect yourself. That's very, very, very important. But beyond that, you can see these events are not dealing with sufficient amount of protective measures, whether that's barriers, trained personnel, more security. It's not sufficient for handling these events. And the biggest problem is that they knew about these security issues and allowed them to happen repeatedly and at repeated events, right? I will say this is a pretty funny one, real quick. This is from it's posted by Tectone, of course, because this is very hilarious. But we've got Twitch security. This is a live footage of Twitch security at the con.
All right, next. Okay. You good? Next. Arms up. You good? I got a bag. Let me see that. You good? Next. Oh, no outside food or drink, sir. I'm sorry.
What?
I throw that away. You got a couple.
Them niggas just walked in with guns.
No, I checked it myself. They're good.
That's definitely the level of Twitch security, 100%. And then let me get into at least one of the comments here that was made afterwards. This is one, let's see, that was brought up with Taylor Lorenz asking Dan Clancy about the incident. Of course, Taylor Lorenz, hack misinformation journalist, I will call her. Let me play this one out. And of course, she's perpetually wearing a mask.
And others. Obviously, we saw one Twitch streamer yesterday, Amaru, get assaulted by a male fan. And a lot of streamers have, especially female streamers, have talked about, the danger that they feel from these sort of toxic, I guess, parasocial kind of creeps. What are you guys doing to prioritize safety? Because I know also a bunch of Twitch content.
And by the way, making it sound one way, I mean, there are all sorts of, it's not just female creators, there are male creators that have problems as well, right? But obviously, in this case, right, we had a female streamer that had a problem. So in a very interesting way, there could be a kind of sex-based discrimination angle to this too, potentially based on the known risk factors to certain female streamers. So you have that potentially being there as well.
Creators said that they were too scared to even come to TwitchCon this year, just in case something like what happened yesterday would happen.
The safety of our creators is the top priority. The challenge we face is a challenge in today's society.
And by the way, if you have immune issues or you're allergic to pollen or whatever, you've got some reason, okay, but Taylor Lorenz is a very special character. We know her from Depp versus Heard, and we know that she's a very special, interesting character.
It's not limited to Twitch. It extends throughout our society. I do think that when you're live streaming, in many ways, since you control your community and you can ban people, you can make it so that those people that you don't want engaging with you and participating with you aren't there. Okay.
That's insane. That's the most insane comment ever. To say that because you can police your online community, that plays in any way towards your in-person safety. How does that make any sense at all whatsoever? It really doesn't. Saying, okay, you can moderate your community online, and therefore, because you can moderate your online community, therefore that protects you in person. That's not exactly how that works. And once again, very, very, very bad comment by Dan here. And he has several bad comments.
Okay, it's very different, when I use other short form content and people say all sorts of stuff. Well, I can't stop that. But when I live stream, they basically don't bother me. Now, what happened yesterday, obviously...
They don't bother him because nobody gives a shit about what Dan Clancy has to say. And Dan Clancy is not a young female streamer. He's gooning over young female streamers or Hassan. I'm actually leaning towards he goons over Hassan, which we'll get to Hassan. Don't worry, we'll get to Hassan Piker in a bit, right? but he's more of a gooner. And of course, nobody's going to come up and harass Dan Clancy. In fact, they're probably going to run away from him, and he probably has to stay away from certain people because he creeps them out, right? Let's let him finish.
It was something that we care deeply about, securing this environment. You know, we're looking very closely at everything that happened there, and I care deeply about Emmy. She's a friend of mine, and so I want to see how we can support her. This is just something.
I don't think they're real friends. I will say this right now. Most streamers are not real friends with other streamers. Is a friend of yours. No, somebody that makes you money. That's not necessarily your friend. Might be an associate, might be a colleague. That's not a quote unquote friend.
Thing we have to keep working on. I think everyone identifies our tools in terms of trust and safety as the leaders in the industry about helping.
What the is he talking about? Leaders in the industry? Leaders in the industry? Yeah, no, Dan. No.
Creators, but that means there's always more work to be done because that's the world we live in now.
Demi had posted earlier today that I guess this fan was allowed to cross multiple barriers at TwitchCon. Why should streamers trust Twitch to keep them safe at TwitchCon? Because I feel like simultaneously this has been such a secure event to the point that even like journalists have had struggled. Like, it is very secure.
It's obviously not, because once again, you judge it by the result, right? Okay, if this happened, therefore it is not necessarily a very secure event, right? So these things are contradictory. And if you look at the history of TwitchCon, which we'll get into, there have been several security issues for years.
But here's this man that just walks up and is somehow able to bypass all these things. So why should they trust the platform when slip-ups or, issues like this have happened?
Well, I mean, as you know, I think you toured some of what we do in terms of security. The reality is, even as you do a lot in terms of security in today's world, there are challenges that can present themselves, especially when someone is putting themselves out there, right? And so, we try to work very closely with each creator about what they want to do and what works for them, right? So I don't want to get into any, specifics or details, but part of that is working with creators and, trying to find, and right now we're definitely, ramping it up to make sure creators know that we have the resources there to help them figure out what's right for them.
That is the biggest nothing burger corporate statement that Dan Clancy could possibly give, and it means nothing because, once again, you see the action. He didn't actually address what caused that incident or the root of that incident. Very, very, very preposterous. Also, let me get some super chats, and we'll get into this next comment here about pressing charges. Spiderbro says, since he tries to go in for the kiss, can that be upgraded essay? Could be, potentially. Once again, the prosecutor has to look at that. But yes, that's probably a future episode in terms of the criminality of that, right? I'm more focusing on Twitch's liability rather than that particular individual. But yeah, it's possible. Artemis said, blue guy is just a fan waiting for his photo. Okay. Amir for the Scuff says it's her own security. The blue hair guy is her friend, and the manager comes up after. Gotcha. Confessions with a Priest says, shout out to BLM, the basic mindset. Always praying for everyone in the community. Props to JP and Danielle for being the best sponsor. Great. Hopefully 230 gets stripped from Twitch over this. Well, some things we're going to talk about don't have 230 protection because, once again, Twitch is operating as the organizer of the event. This is not related to their publishing of information online. 230 does not apply to negligence. That's not going to protect you from negligence for an in-person event. Crafty Burb said, love you, Andrew. You're my favorite Tylenol lawyer. In fact, what do they call it over there? Tylenol? Okay, that's very good. That's very good. I like that one. 19 kilometers says, CC4, cowboy hat versus blackface mask. Winner gets to keep his on. Crystal, for 10 pounds, says, it happened in 2024 with a guy with a camera and nothing was done. Twitch did not even mention it. It is different because it's female. They only care about optics. I want to send you the clip. No problem. And once again, I think the law should be applied fairly. I mean, if a male streamer is getting harassed, a female streamers, it should be exactly the same. It's a negligence. Just because it's a guy does not mean it's not necessarily dangerous. A guy or even a woman, right, can walk up behind somebody and stab you or jab you with a needle or whatever else, right? That's always possible. Dark Canister for 5 says, 5 Singapore, says Dan Clancy seems to think the real world has MMO channels you can switch to and block other people to make them non-interactable like ghosts. I think he spends too much time online. Really, he sounds really weird. 19 kilometers says, justice for Kay and Emmy, absolutely. Collargate is not going anywhere anytime soon. It's going to haunt him for a long time, which is why he's under a lot of pressure. Chaos Mass, a member for 15 months, says, I think Dan wants streamers to be harmed for money. I don't think it's that. I think he just has to say the things he says because that's what possibly his lawyers told him to say, or that's just the standard line. But at the end of the day, they're not putting the resources into it. And I actually had a nice conversation with a guy from Singapore. Shout out to, I'm not going to say his name, but was eating some sushi, chilling. And, he let me know straight up that Amazon really doesn't care about Twitch. Jeff Bezos is too busy playing with his rocket, trying to compete with Elon over the size of his rocket, which, by the way, is not as big as our PP. PP is much bigger than the rocket. But that said, Twitch has kind of been overlooked. But at this point, I think Bezos, Amazon, is going to have to actually pay attention because they're causing problems, right? Leprechaun Gold, thank you for the 10. Appreciate that. Bald Eagle said, can't wait for all the female streamers that were forced to do meet and greets by Twitch to sue them for being put in intentional danger. Very possible. I think, to the extent they're scared, to the extent they were bothered, Chibidoki may have a claim too. IED. Triple J26 says, Gunnar Clancy acting like a cowboy being interviewed by a ninja journalist. Can't make stuff up in 2025. That's right. Trace Pretend said, do you see the clip of American Dad Live asking Dan about the moderation of their TOS and veterans? Yeet tweeted it 9 hours ago. Interesting to say the least. I think I've got that one pulled up. Let me make sure. Yes, I do have that one pulled up. So I will be playing that one second. So not right away, but second. Yes. And Ichikami said, I remember TwitchCon from when the two people who had bones broken from jumping in the foam pit in 22. What a disaster. Once again, a history of negligence. A history of negligence. Someone asked, can my PP go into space? Yes, it's a Jovian PP. For those that don't know. We respect the Jovians on this channel. Okay, let's continue.
Like, people aren't saying this for no reason. Like, I feel like you guys don't get it or something. Like, I could have literally been stabbed yesterday. Literally. Like, I have also seen people asking if I'm like taking any type of legal action. I am pressing charges against the guy with the police. As for anything else, I don't know yet because I've been having my manager handle all of those like side conversations. So I have no idea, but I don't. It's just not okay.
Yeah, and that's where I think the point comes out of Twitch liability. Because yes, you can go after the guy. That's one thing. But going after Twitch, and I would get very active. If I was Emeru, I would get very active with their manager and get very active with the claims that I'm going to bring up here because I think she's got a case. And if you even look at, Dan Clancy, once again, just look at how he plays this stuff off. Look at how he just answers these things. And once again, it's embarrassing to have a CEO that is like this.
Hello, Dan. I've been streaming on Twitch for 9 years. I've been a partner for a long time. But another thing that I am is I'm a U.S. veteran, served in the Army, employed to Afghanistan. Veterans are a protected group on Twitch. So I was just wondering, I've heard comments about the United States deserve 9/11, PTSD, veterans deserve that. When are we going to start holding other streamers accountable for stuff like that, regardless of social status?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for your service. Thank you for the question.
And that's just like the obligatory corporate statement, right?
Really appreciate, what you've done and all that.
And see how he plays off what you've done and all that, right? It's like, yeah, okay.
You use certain examples, and some of those examples led to enforcement, right? It's always a very tricky process because
it's not tricky. Enforce your TOS. It's very, very simple. It's very, very simple. It is not tricky. A lot of other platforms have figured it out.
Part of what we need to do is have a set of community guidelines, and we do have a team that works very hard to consistently apply them. The views of individuals
discriminatorily apply them is the problem. Discriminatorily and selectively apply them manually.
Individuals aren't necessarily the views of our platform. We're at a time where people sometimes can talk in hyperbole, right? Unfortunately, and this happens on all sides of the political spectrum.
This is such BS. This is complete BS. Oh, it's on all sides. It's all people. No. It's very specific things. And anytime they're making these generalized statements, this is complete BS. By the way, something people miss in this. Did you guys notice he's wearing a Roblox thing. Roblox under a lot of scrutiny right now, potentially facing mass torts and all sorts of other things, investigation. Shout out to Schlepp, a good friend of mine. Once again, what do Roblox and what do Twitch have in common? Exposing minors and young people, teens, to vile content. And in fact, hateful content. Yes, look at that Roblox. See it? Look at this. Nazarene for 50 illegal mindset members. Oh, did that drop out? Okay, well, maybe we lagged it. Let's do it one more time. Where's my connection going? Okay. Let's take this to 720. Okay, I'm going down in quality, guys. I'm going down to 720 because we're getting a little lag here. But thank you, Nazarene, for the 50 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you, Hika, for the 5 as well. Appreciate you. Hopefully I'm not. Did they get me? Roboting. Okay, hold on one second. Okay, that was weird. All right, well, I'm back. Okay, Nazarene, thank you for the 50 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you. Yes. So welcome as a new member. King Lugia, thank you for the 5 as well. And Hika, thank you for the 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Once again, very based. Say thank you if you received a gift membership. It is great indeed. Cam Davis says, I'm here for the scuff. I'm here for the scuff. Says, I was here for the scuff. That's my scuff of the day. My internet connection. Crocia Kate. So with the clip going around about how the main reason Emmy did the meet and greet was tied to her being able to do a show, legally does that add a weight? Yes. From a contractual standpoint, it would give them a duty to beyond, it seems, a safety duty beyond what is just the standard safety duty, because you're requiring her to do that. If that places an additional risk, you need to mitigate that risk, right? Which is probably negligence in their security. Nazareth said, with a clear public and recorded assault that resulted from obvious provable negligence, why does it require any sort of investigation? Why not an immediate arrest on C-suite who's responsible this applied to? Okay, very good question. You're not going to arrest people in the C-suite. That's civil liability. So they're not going to be criminally liable unless they were conspiring with the guy who hugged him. And even I, who is very anti-Twitch, once again, I'm very fair. Some people are going to be shocked at what I say about Hassan in a second. I'm very fair. And I don't gin things up just to do it, just to create drama, right? In this case, C-suite is not getting arrested. That's not happening. However, negligence, which is civil liability, a layup. An absolute layup. Rowdy Ninja says, it's a handsome man. Tectone, probably, yes. Indeed. Revan says, walks into Twitch HQ. I can smell the failure. And QB says, for $10 that if Emmy files negligence and endangerment charges against Twitch, they would retaliate. Twitch has gotten away with so much BS, they think they're invincible. I don't think they're invincible. I just think they think what they're doing is okay and sufficient, and it's clearly not. Goddess Bree says, I would love to hear your analysis of Twitch and their lack of accessibility for some things, causing issues for one of my fellow disabled creators at TwitchCon. Well, once again, accessibility, that's definitely a thing, right? The ADA, right? So they weren't compliant with the ADA. That's something that should be reported. Now, based on their contract, the venue itself might be responsible for that. So that might fall on the venue and not on TwitchCon itself. It depends on the contract, which I have not seen between Twitch and the actual venue. Leprechaun Gold for 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Or sorry, $20. Thank you. Okay, let's continue here as we move along this PowerPoint. So let me get into the cause of action and the main civil cause of action. Now, I'm not doing criminal today. I may do those in a separate stream. I had only so much power today. I'm recovering, guys. General negligence. So that's broad liability for failure to detain or coordinate with law enforcement. Negligent security, which is the organizer failed to provide adequate measures to prevent the incident. And the second is a history of security issues dating back from 2019, 2022, 2024, and even in Rotterdam in 2025. So there's a long history. So this negligent security, I think, is the biggest one. As an organizer for any event, you have a duty to protect the people at that event. And by the way, just saying, oh yeah, there's cops is not necessarily enough. Because once again, if you know there are significant risks, like Twitch does, do you need to provide significant security? Or once again, don't hold the event. And the fact is, a lot of people didn't attend because they knew it wasn't going to be safe. You might have a breach of contract because there are probably safety provisions in Amaru's contract, which might have been breached. And you have IIED, intentional infliction of emotional distress. This one is based on all the video I just sent. So Dan Clancy undermining it, playing it down, not giving it the justice it deserves, and also by gaslighting them and saying, hey, no, actually, it's your fault because you are the ones who moderate your community, and people should moderate their community to keep the people out they don't want in. I think that is absolutely something there. Also, there are people joking about it on staff and joking about what happened. Not okay. Could be IAD based on the fact she has a history with stalkers. So given her history with stalkers, there could be a IAD claim there. I think IAD, intentional infliction of emotional stress, and negligent security are the top two. General negligence will come in third, and breach of contract depends on what her contract is. Impressive PP. I love how the color shifts with the gradient. Very unique for a PP. However, not sure I like you sharing your PP with the public, no matter how impressive it is. It's just for you guys. I only share my PP with the almost 3,000 people here, which need to like the video. Okay, chibi dokie. Now we've got some VTuber fans and VTuber aficionados out there, and so this was something that was people didn't want me to sweep this under the rug. They're worried I was going to forget about chibi dokie. I'm not going to forget about my VTubers. I love my VTubers. But with chibi dokie, she had a botched event as well. Now I'm not 100% on some of the facts here, so I'm going to go on this tweet, and then of course people reported a little bit. Other information. So at Chibi Dokie's event, it appears they cut the event short. There also was an issue with her wristband where they wouldn't let her in. So that's a huge thing. And then beyond that, what I heard in this one, then once again, this is a rumor that I heard, I believe it's confirmed, but we'll see, is that she had to unmask herself in front of a line of people, which once again, for VTubers is very, very, very specific. Because not only is it doxing and other threats, but with VTubers, it's financial. Because one of the things for VTubers is not revealing their real identity or their face, etc. And so by forcing them to do that, that actually is hurting them, right? So that's a massive issue, right? Crystal Kane is a new member. Welcome. Warranty Void for 20 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Fire Crew Gaming says, I find it weird that he's wearing a cowboy hat. He's a CEO and it can't be professional. Also give Moodang a kiss for me. Well, I'll do that. I'll do that. I don't want to mess up Moodang right now. Moodang's chilling right now with a Thailand hat. I've got Moodang's cowboy hat back there too, but not today. Artemis says, Chibi loves Moodang more than you. Now, no, that's not possible. That is not possible to like Moodang more than me. Not possible. All right. Hassan, let's talk about Hassan. So this does not relate to TwitchCon, but I wanted to bring this up because it seems like Hassan is hitting his limit. I saw a video, I couldn't find it, of Hassan essentially saying that he is tired of nothing ever happens and he's tired of streaming, etc., and just seeming fed up. And then, of course, you've got that picture of him walking the dog, which is very cringe. But beyond that, you've got him here with a fan. Now, look, I sympathize with this because, to be honest, you never know who's going to walk up to you. But once again, Hassan LARPs to somebody who's this tough guy who's out there, doing tough guy things. And when you see him here, it's quite the different story. So let's go over here and play this.
Hi. I just wanted to meet you. Nice to meet you. My hero, for sure. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you. All right. What should we do? Kaya.
So clearly he was not very comfortable there, not doing well. But as a person who is big into, and I'm always a person who's willing to forgive, I think that Hassan should do a little bit less of this, right? As he's burning out and, not doing well, which once again, I can empathize with. I just had a time where I needed to take a break as well, right? He should do a little bit of this, less of this. trying to pretend he's a 5-star chef. And he should go out and do what I did over the last couple of days, was actually really help me out, which was do some charity work, right? So giving, I helped somebody like prepare food and give it to the less fortunate, right? I spent some time doing donations. I felt really better after that because I needed some time getting out in the real world and doing some real stuff. So my thought is, hey, Hassan, you need to take a streaming break, bro. And instead of going to a protest, do some actual charity work. Go out there and go feed the homeless in Skid Row between 3rd and 7th, right? Go down and build a community garden, right? You pick up a shovel, do something like that. Instead of just talking about it, just go and do it. And I think that that's the point at which Hassan is at, because I think he's under a lot of pressure with Collegate, and that's not going anywhere. Now, can I see him do it? As a lot of people say, I can't see him doing that. I agree with you. It's probably not there. But I obviously, once again, always advocate for people to try to take the good path, even if they've done bad things, even if they defamed me, right? I can forgive people if they're willing to turn their life around. And they're willing to change, right? Because nobody's perfect. I am far from perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. I have a lot of flaws, right? But Hassan is at a point where he needs to make a choice. If he's going to continue on Twitch and continue to do what he's doing, at some point there's going to be a massive consequence. A massive consequence. And it's going to happen because things are going to escalate. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse for Hassan as things go on. So if he's already buckling, he needs to think about that for a second. So that's my take on Hassan. Obviously, if Hassan went, that would be a massive issue for Twitch. Nazarene from Florida, what's up? Says, as a U.S. Marine, Iraq combat vet, awesome. Now a software engineer, even more awesome. Currently dealing with a brain tumor. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. That is a huge thing. I'll pray for you on that one. I consider him to be one of the most vile people I've ever learned exist. No amount of good can erase the red in his ledger. I like to believe that no matter how bad the sinner, if they turn themselves around, they can be turned around. But that's my personal belief. I'm not projecting that on any of you guys. But that said, he would need to start now, right? You would need to start now. And now is the time. If he doesn't do it, it's going to be bad. And what's going to happen is that's going to tank Twitch, right? Because that's their whole structure around Saint Hassan. And that could lead to Dan Clancy out, etc., in addition to many other changes. So I think that's a big factor there. Not K says, Uthmeyer just announced subpoenas to the other Naughty Ground. Amazing timing. Oh, I'll check it out. Bob Nuggets says that would require Hassan to be with the plebs, and that was unacceptable. And that's the problem. He's a spoiled Nepo baby who's never been with real people. I in my personal life, one thing that actually, makes me feel better is being with real people, like real, regular people, not streamers, not super rich people, not fancy people, but just being with regular people, regular, common people, and normal people. I like to think I'm pretty normal. Once again, I'm not perfect, but I try to be normal. And I think that goes a long way. It goes a long way. The last 4 days, spending more time just out with people in the city has really helped me, I think, get grounded. So, yeah, that's my advice there. Okay, moderation. I want to get this one. Hassan does a long PP of his own. He might enjoy that. We don't know. Bob Starsky says, hey, Andrew, DSP says if he cannot make money, then he will sue his detractors. How could he get a lawyer? I've talked about this many times. That's not going to work. You can't just sue your detractors. Now, if they've defamed him, he can. But here's the problem. He needs to prove his defamation. And the other thing is, he would need to show all of his finances. And a lot of people don't want to do that and expose themselves to that, right? And that's reasonable. But I don't think DSP is going to get rich off suing his detractors. Okay, moderation says, recent tests have confirmed that Twitch allows all sorts, and this is something I was like, what? Yes, all sorts of extremely violent, prohibited content without moderation. So there were people that were playing very vile videos, 18 plus videos, videos of tragic events, and none of the moderation was coming through. The issue is that there's selective enforcement, and it's manual, not automated. Now, YouTube has the problem on the other end. YouTube is too automated. So there's not enough humans there. And Amazon is trying to pretty much go full AI, right? Trying to replace everybody with AI, right? That's a problem. There needs to be a balance between human factor and the AI and the automation. And the automation does help and can help for certain things, but there need to be humans in there to say, oh, no, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be updated, this needs to be checked because the filter didn't work or the AI didn't work. So I think that's a big, big issue. But what happens here, and this is where the Roblox stuff comes in, if they're just allowing vile content in, and then they're only choosing through manual modding to enforce some things, to ignore some things, to punish some people severely, some people not, a 30-day ban for the Emeru stalker or whatever it was, a very short ban, right? That's not good. And that incentivizes bad behavior. And I think regulatory action, that is the state consumer protection bureaus, are very much primed to go after this. And I can definitely see that happening. I can definitely see a situation in which these state regulatory bodies are like, yeah, no, we're going to need to go after Twitch because it's just not a safe platform. It just really isn't a safe platform. By the way, somebody said shout out to the mods again. Once again, shout out to JP and Danielle. They're amazing and maintain the most awesome environment out there on all of the interwebs. Very responsible. And I appreciate all you guys. Love you guys. 3,262 in the chat. Make sure you like the video if you like the video. Also, fast facts coming up, so stick around for that. Inspector for 1999 says Hassan gets a ban for 1 day on his day off. A stalker does SA at a con and gets 30 days. But Emeru's favorite bodyguard gets a lifetime ban from the site Twitch and fired for protecting her for last TwitchCon. I call OSHA. That's an OSHA issue. Now, a lot of people said, can Emeru go to OSHA? I think she should consider it. Once again, it may be a little bit of a stretch on the legal theory, but why not try if she has a valid claim? Why not try? I think it's plausible. I think she could try it. And I think that wouldn't be a false report necessarily. Now, let her speak with her lawyer, let her talk with somebody on her side. But I think she could consider an OSHA complaint. It's an unsafe place, right? Okay, got that one. All right. So I think the regulatory action may be coming with states coming after them a la Roblox, and I think that's a massive thing. So in conclusion, Twitch is facing all of these issues at once. And mind you, this is as parent company Amazon was just cyber attacked today. There were likely vulnerabilities due to over-reliance on AI by Amazon Web Services. That's according to my good friend Ryan at Elevate Cyber, which if you haven't gotten his course, I got to make sure the course is plugged in the description. But make sure you go over there and check that out. It's a good service. It's a good thing. And I know some of you have done that. But anyways, there's going to be lots of these things in the future, cyber attacks. And one of the things is when you over-rely on AI, that's going to open that self up. The time now is ripe for lawsuits. It's ripe for regulatory action or replacement of Dan Clancy. And I think Dan Clancy has to go. There is no world in which Dan Clancy continuing to run this dog and pony show that is Twitch is a good thing at all. Big Buddhist for 5. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Also, Bob Starsky says, apologies, Andrew. I meant restreamers specifically. DSP wants to restreamers, but only if he can no longer make money. He should, it's like do it or don't do it, but don't just sit on it forever. I mean, there is a point at which he's sat on it too long. And I know that, once again, a lot of people want me to comment specifically. I don't know which ones he's talking about or not talking about, right, in terms of the restreamers. So I don't know exactly who he's talking about suing. So, it depends on, once again, a fair use analysis, which can go a lot of different ways. Okay, for 5, I'm not trying to pronounce that. I was at TwitchCon all 3 days. The promised security changes in the tweet never happened. Negligent security. Right there. Maybe breach of contract. They still allowed +1s for meet and greets, and metal detectors didn't work. What? They had non-working metal. Okay. Yeah, that's bad. That's real bad. Once again, I think these are all things that could be mitigated, and they chose not to mitigate them. Isla Morag says, keep up the good work. It's a great day when I managed to catch life. Awesome, for 5. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for your kindness. Thank you guys for being really kind to me. Once again, it's been a rough, past couple weeks for me. I've been going through a lot, and I appreciate everybody who has been with me and been praying for me. And that's probably the best thing you can do. Just send me your good energy, send me your prayers, your thoughts. And streaming is not always easy. It's sometimes difficult. It's not the hardest job in the world. There are way harder jobs than this. I'm not claiming that. But it does put a lot of pressure. And I want to say I'm very thankful to be back. I feel a lot better. I'm very happy to be here with you guys. And I'm very lucky to have such an amazing fan base. You guys are absolutely the best. You're super supportive. And I really love and appreciate all of you. And I hope you guys all know that. So with that, guys, please stay based. And I will catch you on the next one.
You are caught in the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. It's been deceiving, the truth it is all day, and now you are more than